Okay, well, I'm going to get started. Glad to see people joining, and we're going to talk about phishing today, and specifically around DNS and what we can do with monitoring DNS. I will note that a couple parts of the talk do get a little technical, but we're going to walk you through that and then really talk at a little bit broader level for everyone else. So, quick agenda. I'll introduce myself. We'll talk about the phishing and BEC problem. Then I'll get in those technical weeds about DNS and zone files, what they are and why they're important. And then we'll actually talk about how we can find phishing using those. My goal today is that everyone walks away with one new idea to protect your organization from phishing related attacks. Okay, I'll be looking for chat and questions. Please put them out there as much as possible. That said, I might get zoned in on my presentation, so we'll try to get to those at the end if I don't cover them throughout. So who am I? I am Matt Mice. I am the CEO of Domain Alarm. I am an instructor at Midstate Technical College, and I have a pretty broad IT history. So I did a lot of software development in finance, both at insurance and banks. And most recently, I was a threat hunter at a financial institution, fairly large financial institution. We did a lot with wire fraud, and we saw a lot of phishing related to that fraud. I'm also currently the secretary of InfraGard Wisconsin. So InfraGard is a FBI and private sector relationship. Great organization. Look up your local InfraGard. I highly recommend it. You get some great intelligence from them as well. Free intelligence from the FBI isn't something you hear about every day. So please look into that. And then I also co-founded Domain Alarm with Ryan Victory. We really built Domain Alarm to empower companies and government entities to protect themselves from fraud and to make the online world a safer place to do business. Today is not a sales pitch in any way. I just wanted to mention that. I also write a newsletter, and I'll give a link to that at the end and some bonus content. All right, so let's get into the phishing problem. We all know phishing is an issue, but how bad is it really? And when we look at some of the statistics, we see that phishing attacks are responsible for more than 80% of reported security incidents. That was due to a 2021 study. And about 90% of data breaches occur due to phishing. So when we look at our attack surface, inbound email, for example, or those phishing sites that are out there targeting our customers are a huge way that we lose data. And I'm going to assume that we all monitor for phishing in some way. So I'm going to publish a poll here quick just for you to get an idea of what you do at your organization. So let me send the poll out. You should see that now. So just answer what your organization is doing so we can get an idea of what everyone's doing to stop or detect phishing. You'll see that in the polls tab on the right side of the event here. I don't know if it allows you to select one or multiple, but a lot of us are doing a lot of these today. So let's show those results. And so about 75% have automated email filtering. And like I said, maybe you have a couple of these. If you don't have any of them, or you're looking to figure out how you can actually stop email or phishing before the email gets to you, that's what we're here to talk about. So let me show you what these answers look like on a kill chain. So when we think about security, kill chains are a really great way for us to interrupt or intercept attackers. And what we're seeing on a kill chain is a few different steps. So a fraudster or criminal will register a domain name. They'll set up email and a phishing website. Then they send out phishing links to our customers, our employees, or our vendors. They steal user information on that site. And then they use that information to commit fraud or to sell it on the dark web. So the options that we had, we can see that they fall on different parts of the kill chain. And our goal is to move left on this kill chain and stop that phishing as soon as possible. So I want to step back for a second and define phishing and business email compromise in a little greater detail, just so that we can help tell these numbers to our higher ups and actually get funding to to stop phishing. So really, phishing at its main level is luring employees or customers to a fake page to steal credentials. Direct phishing related losses in the US alone were almost 45 million, with quite a few victims here. Now, this is what's reported. Reported numbers are usually a lot lower than actual numbers. Some people feel embarrassed to report, and other people just don't do it. They don't take the time. If we switch over to business email compromise, though, we see this as a much bigger issue, and there's a lot of fraud and financial theft that happens on the business email compromise side. Some things are classified as BEC that are really just phishing behind the scenes or a lookalike domain. BEC is really a compromise of an employee account or pretending to be an employee or executive to extract funds from a company. And what we can see here is we have about 2.4 billion in losses. And these are corporate accounts many times, so you see the victim count's a lot lower here. So we want to stop both of these. And I'm just going to pause to make sure I'm good with chat. All right, awesome. So how do we do that? Well, I want to go over a couple other things with phishing. So first, I've seen a lot of losses. Here are some real phishing pages that we found recently that were attacking different brands. So this first one, you can see it's a nice lookalike domain. It's Nordstrom-Okta.com. Okta uses subdomains a lot for their domain names, and because they use subdomains, it's really easy to fake it with just registering a similar domain. In this case, they completely copied the Okta login page and were gathering credentials for Okta. On the right, you see 3 different banking websites that were phishing customers. So when you think about stopping emails on the inbound side, right, that might help your own internal employees. It's not going to stop your customers from getting phished. So when we think about all of the different third parties that we work with external to our company, email filtering will not help them unless they're doing it themselves. And so I wanted to mention is this middle one here. It was a phishing page to basically give you money, right? So they're trying to pull off the scam of giving people $47, and instead of making a phishing page direct to each individual bank, what they said was, tell us your bank and we'll direct you to a phishing page that is exactly like your bank login. And so that was a more sophisticated scam that we've seen than just modeling after one financial institution. In all these scenarios, we're seeing domains that are like the main domain, but just slightly different, so slightly modified. And criminals are going to keep doing this. It's really cheap for them to do it. So if I want to set up a phishing site today, I could get a cheap server on DigitalOcean for $5 a month. I could buy a .com domain. Other domains could be even cheaper for $10 from GoDaddy. And there's a lot of free email providers out there, but let's just say I want to go big and I want to get 100,000 or more emails. I can pay MailChimp $11 for that. So for $30 a month, I can attack a large swath of customers, employees, vendors. Now, what we're seeing for this $30 a month is that people get a return of about $25,000 in their attacks. They don't have to be that successful. They just have to be slightly successful. When we see criminals building up this infrastructure so that's actually a little bit beefier and can target more people, they're spending about $500 a month and making over $1 million. So this low barrier for criminals to actually get started makes it really hard to just stop it at the criminal side. We're always going to have new criminals popping up. That's where DNS and zone files come in. Some great public information that we can use to monitor and defend our company. So I'm just going to go over quickly what DNS is because it's important for what we're going to talk about next. At a high level, the internet works on IP addresses. Of course, us as humans don't like to remember numbers. I can't remember my wife's phone number, for example. And so we just have names. And so there's going to be servers out there that translate IP addresses to names and names to IP addresses. And it's really 8 steps to do this translation. The first step is I go to a website, example.com. And when I go there, example.com in my browser, there's going to be a request. That request is going to go to a DNS root name server for .com. When it goes there, the .com server is going to put me to a new server. It's going to go to a top-level domain server, and it's going to ask basically, where is example.com? And when that root server points me over there, I'll ask example.com, hey, what's the IP address for the specific URL that I'm going to? Once I get that back, my computer will directly connect my browser to that IP address and allow me to interact with the website. Basically, a very complicated way of saying we have these domain names and they are public because I have to be able to publicly find them. So what we have are DNS zone files. This is what's sitting on those root and top level domain servers. And these zone files have a lot of great information in them. So what you're seeing here is a bunch of, this is a .yachts, it's not the .com file, but a .yachts domain zone file. And so you have a bunch of different domains here, and you can see their name servers and where they're located. So this will give me an idea of what currently registered domains are out there. If a new domain is registered, the file the next day will have a new domain on the list, and now I can look at that domain and say, does that look like it's similar to mine? So this is really powerful for us because we can use it every day and look at new phishing sites that might be being created. So if I want to get these zone files, there's a simple way to ask for them. All right, so I can hold zone files for every major top-level domain. Now, country code top-level domains are not included in ICANN. You have to go individually to a lot of them. For .us, it is in here. So on ICANN's website, I can actually view all the top-level domains and then request each one individually, or you can just select all and request them. I'd say about 250 of the top-level domains will allow you to view their domain file instantly without even questioning whether you're using it for what purpose you're using it. Other ones ask for a purpose, and I just said, hey, I'm a security researcher. I'd like to know more about the domains on your server, and those will give it to you most of the time. There are some that just auto-deny. They just want to be secretive, and that's the way it is. So in those cases, we can't monitor those zone files specifically. They also have an API, so I put the link to the Python API in there, and with that API, you can actually automatically download these files instead of manually going to the website every day. So with this information, let's put it all together. We want to actually monitor phishing with these zone files. So we can take the zone file, look at the differences each day, and then alert on them. So this gives us a really new proactive approach at detecting potential attacks before they happen. That's huge. So that's what we can do. How do we actually do it? Well, we have to download the files each day. That could be done with an API. We need to scan every single file to see what URLs or what domains are new. There's about 200,000 new domains each day. And what we're looking for are domains that are similar to ours. So if I owned example.com and I saw example.com, an RN in there, that looks really similar to mine, I would alert on that. And that would be something that my SOC analysts or one of my threat hunters would look into to figure out, is that something we should worry about? Are they actually going to attack us in some way? Are they trying to phish someone? And then we act on it. So if it is an actual phishing site, we need to make sure that we can take that off the internet and no one gets targeted. So we do this for a lot of reasons. We can defend our company, so we can detect business email compromised domains before there are fraud attacks. We can find phishing sites targeting our employees before an email gets sent. We don't have to rely on that email scanner. Keep the email scanner. We want layers of security, but it's not the first time we detected this phishing site. We can actually monitor all of our vendors and see if domains come up against our vendors. And if they do, we might want to look for vendor email compromise coming from them. Maybe they're going to send us a bad email trying to get us to change our next payment. And then brand monitoring. I found a lot of so-and-so sucks.com. Just knowing that that exists from a brand management standpoint is really helpful. And you may even be able to take it down if they're using if they're sliding your company in a way that uses your logo or something out of context. Outside of defending your company, defending your customers to me is one of the more important ways to do this, because again, you can't really rely on their email system to protect them. So you can detect domains impersonating your brand and emailing your customers directly. Something that most people don't have access to. You don't have access to that data when they're getting emailed. You can detect domains impersonating your customers. Maybe your customer sends you an email and it's not really them. So new domains that are targeting or impersonating your customers is a good one. And then detecting phishing pages that are trying to steal customer login information. These are all reasons why we might want it. And so one thing that we've done at Domain Alarm is we provided an open source tool that you can use to start doing this yourself, and a free monitoring that we do ourselves. So we provide this free service to a lot of organizations because, again, our goal is to make the internet a safer place to do business. And this is one of the ways that we do that. And so with our free alerts, we're looking at domain files or zone files. We're looking for your domain, and we're trying to figure out if there's any lookalikes similar to your domain. And we have a couple of different techniques that other vendors don't have in that regard. We send out an email once a week, and that's really helpful. Basically, this is the cheapest threat intelligence you can get, free intelligence, right? What we do look for is we look for exact name matches, we look for lookalikes, and then we look for Levenstein distance. If you're a geek like me, we look at multiple Levensteins within a word. It's pretty cool. What you get in an alert is basically an email of all the different sites. So this is an example, literally example.com. And we're looking at different sites that have example in them and how we detected it and when it happened. And so in this way, you can see where it's registered and then go to the website and actually see, is this actually something that's targeting me, or is it just a random site that was registered today? Let me just catch my breath there. All right. So once we detect all of this badness, what do we do with it? Well, we have to respond to it somehow. So there's a lot of ways that we can actually get phishing off the internet. The first thing that everyone should do when you see a site targeting you is you should report that phishing email. So there's different email addresses here. We have US government, the anti-phishing working group. They actually have a couple, the anti-phishing working group and then antiphishing.org. You can send phishing emails to them, or you can send phishing URLs or domains that you found to them. The next step is looking at Microsoft and Google reporting. You want to alert Microsoft and Google because these are the two biggest browsers that we see used across most people today. And if Google determines that, yes, this is a phishing site, they'll say this is a deceptive site, and people will not likely go to it after it's been named a deceptive site. Same with Microsoft for the Edge browser. This Google reporting also works for most Chromium browsers. So if you think about Safari, that also works there. Other places you can do a takedown is where the site was, or excuse me, where the website was registered, their certificate, or their hosting provider. So you can actually try to take the website down in lots of different ways. Wherever the site was set up, you can ask them to take it down. On your internal email, at least for your employees, you can do a couple different things. So you can block risky domains. Once you find a phishing site targeting you, you can actually stop the emails from hitting you. So that's another email block, but now you're blocking specifically known bad. You can also put an email banner on that says this email came from an external person. This helps for business email compromise, for example. In other cases, it kind of gets lost with all the other external emails. People kind of get used to seeing external on there. So I wanted to, as I transition into the next portion of the talk here, we have about a third of our time left. I wanted to figure out what everyone else is doing to address phishing. And I really argue that we have to be proactive. We have to be seeing the criminals as they're setting up their infrastructure to stop them and take them down before they get to phishing. So let's work together and figure out some new detection opportunities. I'll talk about these detection opportunities, and then we'll do a poll to see what of these you might be doing, or maybe which ones you want to do. So phishing training, this is pretty obvious, but I have to say it because in companies that don't have phishing training, about 30% of people click on phishing sites. In companies that do have training, it's 3%. Big reduction, not perfect, but that's a big stop. But your goal in phishing training is to change employee behavior. So what I've seen within phishing training is actually tying the phishing training back to corporate goals. So if you're able to pass your phishing training, that's going to affect your bonus at the end of the year. Okay, people get a little uppity when you work with their financials, but that you have to make it that important, because at the bottom line, it's going to affect your company's financials if they click on that phishing link. DNS Twist is it's a free tool. It's also in KnowBe4 if you use KnowBe4, and it will basically do lookalikes of your site and try to give you examples of what those might look like. And so you can look and either register some of those yourself, or at least look at them daily to see if there's any that's been registered. You can monitor refers. Refers are awesome. So when a website redirects traffic to you, for example, Google redirects traffic to you, your marketing team probably has this data already. You can see how people got to your website. Most phishing websites redirect traffic back to your site if it's a login phishing page. So for example, for a bank, if it's a bank phishing web page, people try to log in. When it fails, all it does is redirect to the main login page for the bank, and the phishing page just harvests those credentials. They want the person to not notice that they've been on the wrong site the whole time. So if you monitor refers, you'll actually see phishing pages telling you they've sent people back to your website. And then you can know that, okay, I had some people that got phished, and here's the phishing website that did it. That's a huge one. Certificate monitoring. So this is monitoring certificates that are registered for websites, and that includes subdomains. There are certificate streams that are free data out there. We monitor this in our advanced monitoring, but it's something that you can do in your organization as well. And basically, this will catch all top-level domains. You can see a new Russian site being registered. You can see a new Ukraine site being registered as it's happening. And so this is pretty powerful in conjunction with DNS monitoring. And then blocking new domains. You might want to just block domains that were created within the last 30 days. The odds of someone legitimate contacting your business or your customers from that domain is very low. So that's another option as well. So I'm going to pause here and just give a new poll out to everybody, and hopefully you'll be able to see this in a second. There we go. So please just vote on some of the detections that you are also doing here. And again, I don't know if you get multi-select or not, but hopefully you are doing some of these other ones, or at least these are new ideas that now you can start implementing. Most of these you can implement quite quickly at your organization. All right, it probably showed results a little too early. So we have a lot of phishing training. That's good. We'll just let those keep going there. Awesome. So let's look at these on the kill chain now. So we talked about the kill chain again. I'm going to show you the same exact kill chain, and now we have these different monitoring techniques, and you can see that we have a nice layered approach if we implement all of these. Honestly, if your company does all of these well, it's going to be a lot harder for those phishing emails to come to your inbox and for those phishing emails to get to your customers. So you can see our free tool, but also other DNS and certificate monitoring is way left over here. DNS Twist as well. What a lot of people are doing are somewhere in the middle when those emails are coming out or when information is being stolen. And that's phishing training, blocking new websites, and refer monitoring. So those are all in progress types of detections. And then finally, human reporting, once something actually does happen and someone realizes it, is usually near that end of that kill chain there. So really our goal as defenders is to catch this as early as possible and stop victims from being compromised in the first place. Awesome. So we have a couple other options that people have been doing for phishing. That's awesome. All right, so that concludes everything today. I know I was talking fast. We only have 30 minutes, but hopefully everyone got a few good ideas for things that they can start doing in their companies. I did want to share that I do, like I said, I do a newsletter. So this is talking about security and fraud and the intersection of those different disciplines. They intersect quite a bit. So I talk about new news out there, some tools that you can use that are free. I almost always share free tools, and then discussions for the people that are in the newsletter. Other than that, that concludes the talk for today. I hope everyone got something fun out of this. And if you want to reach out, my email's on there, contact@domainalarm.net. And I can take any questions in the chat now as well. Would it be proficient enough to look at possible websites that use lookalike logos, images as well? Yes, it would be if you can look at every website and the change of that website every day. So maybe doing a Google Lens image search, that might be able to give you other sites that are using your logo. But I don't see a lot of companies being able to go directly against every website. Good question. Awesome. Well, we might have some Q&A as well. So my slides, I've given them to Stronger, so I'm hoping that they will be distributing those as well. And there's lots of links in there. So use the links. There's good information. All right. Well, I know it's the end of the conference, so I appreciate everyone coming, and I hope you enjoy the next presenter. See everyone around.